I mean, clicking on the option, but only क्यों on नहीं हो रहा है?
Okay, carry on the process. Start.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So again, good afternoon, one and all. I, Aditya Muljani, is here to present a PowerPoint presentation with my teammates on the topic Henry Fayol's 14 Principle of Management. So here is the content which we will explain in our presentation. The first is the introduction and the second is Fayol 14 Principles. So let's start with the introduction. So, do you know who was Henry Fayol? Henry Fayol was the father of journal management, and the principles suggested by him were evolved on the basis of his personal experience. According to him, a principle refers to the fundamental truth, and they are derived either on the basis of observation and analysis or by conducting experimental studies. So here is the small flowchart of Henry Fayol's 14 principles. We will talk about them one by one. So let's begin with the first principle. So the first one is division of work. According to Fayol, the intent of division of work is to produce more and better work for the same effort. And specialization is the most efficient way to use human effort. He suggested that the whole organization work, both managerial and technical, should be divided into specialized jobs. Further, Payol emphasized that the job should be assigned the job should be assigned according to the competence of a person, that is the potential of a person. By this will ensure the work carried is the most effective and in efficient manner. So let us understand it more clear with an example. So suppose there is a company known as Zeal Limited and a company dealing in fast moving consumer goods. The various jobs may be divided into separate departments like we all know production, finance, marketing and human resource. The work in each of these departments are assigned to employees in according to their potential so that the work is carried out in a more efficient way. And this will also promote the organization growth, speed, accuracy, as well as it facilitates the growth of organization. So the second principle is authority and responsibility. According to Fayol, authority is the right to give order and obtain obedience, and responsibility is the corollary of authority. We can say authority refers to the right of a person to give orders and extract obedience, and responsibility refers to the obligation of a subordinate to perform assigned task. For example, the CEO of a company has doubled the sales target of the sales manager for the coming year. To achieve the target, authority for appointing necessary sales representative advertising according to the need shall have to be allowed. In case these things are not allowed, the sales manager cannot be held responsible. So now it's the turn of third principle, that is the we all know about discipline. That is, in simple words, I can say the term disciplines means obedience and organization rules and regulation. In context of management, discipline refers to the regulated behavior of employees, feeling of respect for one another in the organization. According to Payol, discipline requires good superior at all levels, clear and fair agreements, and judicious applications of penalties. For example, the employees of McDonald's are required to sanitize their hands every 30 minutes. This is the discipline. So thank you all. And now I would request my next teammate, Avishi Gupta, to come and explain the further topic.
Thank you, Aditya. Good afternoon, all. So the next principle is unity of command. It is one of the Henry Fayol's 14 principles of management. This principle states that there must be only one superior to a subordinate, that is, an employee or a worker must not have many bosses or superior. If an employee or subordinate has to work under the influence of many bosses or superior, then it creates a confusing situation, dilemma, and disorder. Let us understand this principle with an example. The HR team of a company will have just one supervising head instead of two or three. To have an orderly setup in the work atmosphere with the help of the unity of command principle, there is a proper hierarchy which is set in the company. Now, the next principle is unity of direction. It is a concept found in administrative management theory. The principle provides that there should be only one leader and one plan for a series of activities seeking the accomplishment of the same objective. The manager is ultimately responsible for this plan and he monitors the progress of the defined and planned activities. Let us understand this principle with an example. Suppose an automobile company is manufacturing two products, namely scooters and car, hence having two divisions and all marketing activities such as advertising, sales promotion, pricing policy, etc. Now the next principle is subordination of individual interest. It means that the interest of the organization is above the interest of the individual and the group. It can be achieved only when manager in high position in the organization set an example of honesty, integrity, fairness and justice. This apply to all levels of the entire organization including the managers. Let us understand this principle with an example. Suppose an employee would like to obtain a big raise of his salary beyond what is usual for his job. Doing so would not be in the general interest of the firm, as it would lose its competitiveness if it continued to pay too much to its employee. Therefore, the principal subordination of the individual interest says that in this case the general interest should prevail over the individual interest of the employee. So I request my next teammate Bhavya Madnani to come. Sorry. So I request my next teammate Yash Tekwani to come and explain the further topics.
Thank you, Abhishi. Good afternoon, all. So the next principle is employee remuneration of employees. According to this principle, the remuneration payable to the employees should be fair to both employees and the employer. The employee should get fair wages which ensure at least a reasonable standard of living. On the other hand, it should also be within the paying capacity of the business. In short, overall pay and compensation payable to the worker should be fair and equitable. This ensures congenial atmosphere between the management and workers. In a healthy atmosphere, satisfied workers put in their best efforts to contribute their maximum. Let us understand this principle with an example. For example, suppose that the things are getting dearer and the company is getting good profits. In such a situation, the remuneration of the employees should be increased even without their asking. If this is not done, the employees will leave the company as the first opportunity. Expenses shall have to be incurred or new requirement which shall bring loss to the company. The next principle is order. According to the principle of order, a right person should be placed at the right job and the right thing should be placed at the right place. According to Fayol, every enterprise should have two different orders: material order for physical resources and social order for human resources. Keeping the physical resources in order means that a proper place for everything and everything in its right place. Similarly, keeping the human resources in order means a place for everyone and everyone in his appointed place. Let us understand this principle with an example. For example, an employee working in a factory should know the place or source from where he can get his tools in case of need. Similarly, he should know the place, place where his supervisor will be available in case of any need. It is, however, important to note that it is not sufficient to have an allotted place for a toolbox and for the supervisor, but the availability of both and their decided place is absolutely important. If this, uh, if this is not the case, it can lead to a heavy loss as a result of damage to the machine. So I request my next teammate, Bhavya Madnani, to come and explain the further topic. Thank you all.
Okay, thanks Yash and good afternoon all. The next principle of fuel is scalar chain. The principle of scalar chain revolves around the flow of communication from management to the lowest rank in the company. Scalar chain is a chain of all supervisors from the top management to the person working in the lowest rank. For example, the CEO of company needs to reduce the number of employees in his or her company. This news is conveyed to a manager and then to an employee supervisor and then to the employee who will be fired. And the next principle is equity. The principle of equity is based on the idea that individuals are motivated by fairness. In simple terms, equity states that if an individual identifies an inequity between themselves and a peer, they will adjust the work they do to make the situation fair in their eyes. For example, a salesman suggests to his sales manager to implement a new advertisement technique. The sales manager sends him away by telling him that it is not possible and ignores the suggestion altogether. And the next principle is initiative. An initiative is the start of something with the hope that it will continue. Government and business start initiatives all the time. You can also talk about initiatives as a personal quality. A person with initiative is motivated to do things. If you take the initiative, you are willing to get things done on your own. According to Fayol, under this principle, successful managers provide an opportunity to its employees to suggest new ideas, experience, and more convenient methods of work. So now, I request my next teammate Vasudha to explain you the remaining principle of Fayol's.
Thank you, Bhavya. Good afternoon, everyone. The next principle is centralization and decentralization. The centralization of decision-making authority by top management is called centralization, whereas its dispersals among more than one person is known as decentralization. Those organizations in which decision-making authority lies with the top management are termed as centralized authorities, whereas those in which decision-making authority is shared with the lower level are decentralized organizations. Next topic is, please Aditya, change the slide. Stability of personnel. According to Fayol, employee turnover should be minimized to maintain organizational efficiency. Personnel should be selected and appointed after due and rigorous procedures. They should be given reasonable time to show results. Next topic is esprit de corps. According to Fayol, management should be a spirit of unity and harmony among employees. A manager should replace I with we in all the conversations with workers so as to promote a feeling of togetherness and teamwork. Let me conclude all of the principles explained by my teammates. They significance Fayol created his success as a manager to the method he used rather than to his personal qualities. He felt strongly that to be successful manager had only to understand the basic managerial functions, planning, organizing, leading and controlling, and apply certain management principles to them. Thank you, everyone.